Hello folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Africa. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. I held off on this story for a couple of days while it developed. We've seen viral social media videos. We've seen analysis from some analysts covering this event that took place in South Africa. It's absolutely insane. And what I'm talking about is broad daylight, brazen carjacking attempt of a man in Klerksdorp in South Africa, located in Northwest Province, southwest of Johannesburg, the largest city in Northwest Province. This occurred in the Central Business District in broad daylight. And what's very disturbing is it happens in broad daylight. And it also raises the question, why are South African authorities seeking to disarm law-abiding citizens? This is an instance where a gun would have been a very successful deterrent. As it is, the man is lucky to escape with his life, and what appears to be a woman, spouse presumably, and a small infant or child on her lap. This is a very disturbing situation which could have led to an horrific outcome, and no charge has been pressed. More on that story, but first let's watch the video. You can see the man here as they're already approaching him, at least 5 assailants. They try to get in the car. He defends his spouse or partner back and forth. He trips in the street here, broad daylight in the Central Business District. This is insanity. They just walk away calmly. No concerns about arrest. None whatsoever. Broad daylight. Nobody stopped to help this man either. So let me recount what's been reported in the press in South Africa. Jacaranda FM, a radio station there, reports that Northwest Police are looking for a man who survived an attempted hijack and robbery in Klerksdorp earlier this week, or Klerksdorp. Now, subsequent reports say that they've identified the man and he's not pressing charges. But you can see 5 men attempting to carjack his white SUV in the Klerksdorp Central Business District. This man, armed only with what appears to be a knife, fought back until the suspects gave up. Fortunately, they weren't armed. Now, these thugs, some with their arms folded, are seen calmly walking away from the scene as if nothing had happened. The brazenness and the cheek of criminals and violent criminals in South Africa is insane. That's the first thing that's disturbing. They have no concern whatsoever that they're going to be apprehended by police. They know they can do this with impunity in broad daylight. This isn't an ambush, dark of night, in somebody's property on a remote country road or a dodgy part of town. This is in broad daylight in the Central Business District. Now, onlookers are just watching and not even attempting to assist the man and his family. Some people on social media have rightly criticized this. Others, I understand why they wouldn't get involved, but still, scream, yell, do something. Police spokesperson Adele Myberg said that there's no case as this victim, who's subsequently been identified, refuses to lay any charges. And there was a similar incident that occurred back in May, and the complainant also refused to open a case, even though the suspects who robbed him were identified by police. Now, what's at work here? Are these South Africans afraid to report the criminals who seek to hijack, rob, potentially murder or harm them out of fear of retribution? That raises a very serious question about what's happening in South Africa, particularly Northwest Province, which is a province under receivership. It's under administration by the African National Congress at the national level because of corruption and ineptitude in this province. Now, reports circulating on social media platforms purporting acts of lawlessness in Klerksdorp are fake, said Northwest Community Safety and Transport Management MEC Sello Lehari. Really? Which of these videos you're talking about are fake? This is fake. This is reported widely in the press, not just in social media. Northwest Provincial Commissioner of Police Lieutenant General Sello Quena briefed the MEC Lehari about the situation in Klerksdorp, indicating that some of the videos and reports punted on social media platforms were false and misleading. Well, what exactly is about this is false and misleading? Nothing that I've stated. Now, you see reports saying this is a white man. I can't identify it's a white man, an Indian, or a colored man. From the distance, difficult to tell. People saying it looks like he defended himself with a knife. When I first saw it, from a grainy image, it appeared as if it was a tire iron. But yes, it does appear to be a knife. That seems to be the case. It is broad daylight. It is Klerksdorp. There are no police. Not that I would expect them to be present in every street corner, but there are no police. There's no reaction. And they did attempt to carjack him. So what exactly is fake about this? And this is a typical reaction from the African National Congress, which is governing their inability to deal with criticism, but there's not even any criticism leveled at them. No one's criticizing the police here. No one's criticizing the ANC. People are simply showing the video and saying how things are out of control. Well, the ANC says they're not, but a purported gangster was just gunned down in Klerksdorp. So what's going on here? Typical ANC childish juvenile reaction to anything that's negative. Instead of addressing the concern here and telling the public what's going on, the MEC for Public Safety seeks to discredit anyone talking about this. Well, that's a problem with governments in charge around the world today. Leftist progressive governments all have knee-jerk reactions to any time that anything negative comes out, and they seek to destroy the people who bring the message, who report the news. Well, the bottom line is this gentleman survived a carjacking. And it appears his wife and small infant, if I'm correct in what I can identify in the vehicle, also survived. Who knows what would happen to them? Driven off, thrown into the street, run over by another car, gang raped, shot, stabbed. Probably not shot. They don't seem to have a weapon unless the gentleman had a weapon in the car and he couldn't get to, and they would have used that on her. Who knows? But we know the lawlessness. Hannah Cornelius simply dropping off her friend at night, coming back from a club, kidnapped with a screwdriver, gang raped and bludgeoned to death. Her friend who's colored, bludgeoned and left for dead. His life destroyed. Hannah Cornelius, a beautiful young woman. Tragic situation. Tesefalopoulou, pregnant with her lover's child, who found her inconvenient, hires someone to murder her, 9 months pregnant, stabs her to death and hangs her from a tree. Brendan Horner, 21-year-old landless farm manager employed on a farm, tortured and hung from a fence post. Edward Neumeister, a 69-year-old Austrian retiree with a German-themed restaurant in KwaZulu-Natal, goes out to collect the morning paper and collect his dogs, attacked with a machete, a panga. Mortally wounded. The assailant goes into the farmhouse to attack his partner. Mortally wounded Edward Neumeister, 69 years of age, bleeding profusely from an artery, goes in and lunges at the assailant, allowing his partner to escape so she doesn't suffer rape and murder. He is so badly cut to pieces by the panga that his daughter, coming from Germany, can't recognize his face and his body. This lawlessness is out of control, and it affects all South Africans. But the only time it seems to get the ANC's attention is when a large number of black South Africans have been killed, like in Shebeens, or shootings like that. And then suddenly they can find the usual suspects in a matter of hours or days. Yet we still don't know who killed Edward Neumeister. We still don't know who killed Brendan Horner, or the black cattle farmer in the Free State, or the 4-month pregnant Indian woman whose throat was slit at the Ayub farm in Veenen in 2020. This is horrific, and this is a consequence of ill governance and malfeasance by the ruling African National Congress. Let's watch this video again, this time with the audio. And I caution you, there's a lot of profanity here. You'll get to listen to this profanity from the lady who recorded this.
What the fuck? Klerksdorp fucking guys never cease to fucking... What the hell?
Again, apologies for the profanity, but that's the actual video. So what's going on here? Well, South Africa's a dangerous place, and the government denies that, despite 67 South Africans murdered every single day. Mostly black South Africans. But anywhere, at any time, in broad daylight, in leafy suburbs, in ritzy malls, just in Benoni today, there were armed assailants, 15 people who robbed people in broad daylight at the mall. Unbelievable. Hey folks, if you're not familiar with this channel, why don't you become familiar with Chris Wyatt Africa and check us out. Become a subscriber, hit that button right down there, and give us a like on the video. Feel free to leave your comments behind. And hopefully this video can overcome some of the shadow banning, but I'm not going to hold my breath because nobody will find out about this video because PooTube will hide it, like they usually do. But if you do come across it, thank you for your patronage.